How are you doing? Welcome to live stream number 158. Today's Tuesday, and we are going to, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways you can create cores and cavities like for inside a mold for Fusion 360. Just a couple of techniques. My name is Lars Christensen, and well, this is our daily live stream, and just an attempt to add a little bit more value to your Fusion experience. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't. That is absolutely perfectly okay. So let's jump into to Fusion 360, and let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can do this quick. How about that? So we have my attempt here on a Lego piece. Actually, I was trying to look around the house to see if I could find the Lego piece, and I couldn't find one that was this thick. I don't know if Lego, all the kids ones are the thin ones, so I can't remember if there's dividers in here. But what I should tell you is that if you want to know how to model up this piece, well, that's going to be tomorrow evening's Facebook live stream there. So we'll do that tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to see how you model up this Lego block, that's what we're gonna play with. But today, because why not? Let's take this like how I kind of like sneak that in as a little spoiler for what's happening on Facebook tomorrow night. So today, let's talk a little bit about core and cavity. I want to show you a couple of what I think is some pretty neat tools to do this. So this is a single body file, and there's a couple of things you normally want to do to a part if it's a plastic part that needs to be plastic injector molded. One of the things you many times want to do is you gotta tick into shrink factor, and the other thing is you actually gotta allow for some draft so this piece can come out of the mold. You kind of have you probably have more than a couple of options, but my preference is either I apply it to this model here. So this is like, let's picture that this is the customer who sent us this file, or I create my own copy of this one that I then mess with if I don't want to mess with the customer's file. Because of course, if I start adding shrink factors and draft to this part, I'm kind of like messing around with the customer's model, though that with a feature tree will come in the end, so you could always roll back, but still. So the other option besides doing it in here could be to go out and click on the file drop down and say save as. Now we are just kind of like creating a broken link to that. So I'll probably call this one my draft and shrink or whatever. I'm not sure how to spell shrink. That's how we're going to spell it today. So I'm going to save this. So this is now going to be, you see that it's swapped the two outs. So now you can see up here that this is our shrink model. Now, shrink factor is you normally make the mold a little bit bigger because the plastic shrinks as it's cooled down. The way you do that inside of most CAD systems is as simple as a scaling factor. So you can click scaling, you can select, in this case, the block, and then you can add some kind of scaling factor depending on what kind of material you use. So I'm just going to hit OK here, and now this part is actually bigger. Look, if I grab down here and I go back, small, bigger. And I don't know what that might be a little bit big for a scaling factor. Maybe it's 0.08? I don't know. I can't remember what I used to. Now I can't remember what I used to use. I'm getting old. It just looked like that plastic block got very big. Alright, you're gonna leave that. Okay, the next thing we gotta do, I can sit there and spit that back and forth all day. That'll get boring. The next thing we gotta do is we gotta add draft. And I want to show you something quick here. I already have an analysis folder up here in the left, because when I was creating this one, I actually did a section view in there. And the reason I'm showing you that is if I just left that alone, you will actually see that when I turn on a draft analysis, that it automatically turns the analysis folder on, what turns the draft on. So if that got you a little bit confused, it was because I had left that section view on in the analysis folder. This is a draft analysis tool. I don't think I've used that before on the live stream here. So what you do is you can set your target, your body. So click on that, and then you select the direction you want that draft to go on. And you can see here that you can apply the draft. So maybe 2 degrees is, I think, is a fairly normal one. You can also turn the tolerance zone on and off. I'll probably normally turn it on. Then you can do kind of like a quality, high quality that you want here. But I'm going to select a direction for this, and what I'm actually just going to select is something that is perpendicular to what I want the draft to go in. So I can select in this face here, and you will see that we get kind of like color coding. So this is red. The light, I don't know what the light bluish green thing, that's kind of like the neutral color. If you flip it over, you will see the same thing on the bottom, and you will see that everywhere here there's no draft because we haven't applied draft to the model yet. There's 2 ways, so I'm going to leave this on for a second, hit OK. So this is just, if I turn the analysis folder back on, this draft, the one I found up here, it doesn't do anything. It's just almost like it just throws these color things on so we can see when we have enough draft on our part. So this is just kind of like, picture you put a pair of glasses on, that's what you look at. Now there's 2 ways you can put draft on a part, and I gotta be honest with you, I will let you be the judge of which one you prefer, and I would love to hear that down in the comments, by the way, if you don't mind. One would actually be to go down in your feature tree down here. So if I scroll all the way back to the beginning, and you wouldn't have a chance to know this, but I started out with a rectangular block that I extruded up, right? So what I actually could do in here was I could go in, I could right click on that feature, and as many people know, there is a taper angle inside of your standard extrude. So I could go in here and say -2 degrees, and if you looked, you actually saw that it kind of like went inward. If I hit OK, you will now see the color have changed from red to this other color, giving us indication that we now have draft. So if I go all the way back to the beginning, you will see that now up on the top, that is still red because there's no draft on the top, but there is on the sides, and that's what this color indicates. So there's now the 2 degrees. Now you will also see if I flip it over on the other side, in here, well, let me just turn the section analysis on. And I go to the front view. If we zoom in, you will actually see that the inside walls are also not red anymore. Red means that there's no draft. Because this actually have a draft on now, because I used a shell command to shell that inside out. I hope that this, so let me just see here. So what I did when I made this model was I extruded a block up, and then I used that shell command. We've used that before, and gave it a thickness, and that would emulate the outside. So it's offsetting the outside wall, meaning you do get that 2 degree on the inside too. So that can make your life easier. So one way to add draft is to add it right inside of the feature. Let me do that to these round bosses here. They are right here. If I edit those, do the same thing, -2 degrees. Boom, now they have draft on it too. That's what this analysis shows us. It's might be hard to see, but we should be shooting in 1080 resolution. You hit the gear if you don't see it. But yeah, we can see the draft there. So that's good. Now the other thing we can do, flip it over, is we can actually insert it as a feature under the modifier. So if I click draft, now it's becoming a feature. See, right now on this outside portion, this draft and this draft is kind of hidden inside of our features, right? Like if you if you hadn't made this part, you might be like, and you got this part, you might be like, how the heck did they add that draft? We did that inside the feature. The other thing we can do is we can actually go into the drop down in the modify and click draft and kind of do the same thing. We got to select a plane that draft is going to be pulled from. So that's kind of like the neutral plane right here. So I can click on that. And then I can select the faces. So if I select this face here, that will actually get whatever I put here, 2 degrees. And you can kind of see how it kind of changed there. So that's one way that you can kind of do that. You can flip the direction if you want to, but that's how that works. So this way, I don't know why I won't select all the faces here. Oh, that's interesting. It would only select one face. Edit. Okay. So now, that might be is that a bug? I can only select one face. Let me hit OK. Edit feature. Oh, that's interesting. And can I select? Now I can only select one at a time. Well, that's that's not supposed to work like that, I'm sure. That's one thing to report. So if I hit OK now, you will see that these now have changed from red to blue, and we now have a dedicated feature in here for that. So if I right click and go in and hit edit, I could now also select the other ones. That's interesting. I can't select those. You know what you could do? Let me just show you something else. If I delete this feature again, so back with the draft, you could probably do this. Hold down Control and select all the faces you want, like this. And then you could go and so now they're all selected. Now if I go in and select the draft, select a plane, and now it'll add it to all of them. Different ways to do that. So now we actually have a feature in here that you can see. I would definitely do that if I was applying these to the first model that we had. The last one in here, we have the different holes in here. I would actually probably go back to my original sketch in here, right? Just like we did before, and do a -2 degrees. And then we got that on all those smaller holes down at the bottom, adding in the feature. Okay, I'm going to turn this analysis off. So now we have added draft to all the outside walls and inside walls that we want. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to click Save. And I'm going to say Edit Draft and Shrink. And I'm still not sure I'm spelling that right. Shrink. To this model. Now we're actually ready to start creating that core and that cavity. So to do that, I would actually I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. I'm going to throw it into, I'm going to take this this part and throw it actually into what I would call like a assembly file, though that inside of Fusion we can do everything inside of one. But I'm going to create a new document. You got to hit save, and let's call it this one the Lego core cavity. Okay, like that. So now this is an empty file, but the reason I saved that is because you have to have the file saved before you can start bringing something in. So I'm going to right click down on the one we just added the draft to, and I'm going to insert that into the file here, and you get a free move. I'm just going to hit OK to that. So hide this for a second. So now we have that piece linked in there, right, inside of this part. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click up here and create a new component, and I'm going to rename this one cavity. And like I said, I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. So here I have a cavity tool here with that active. What I could do is I could say I'm going to open a new sketch, and I am going to click on the top face here. This is going to be the cavity. I'm going to hit the S key and click on the center rectangle. I'm just going to draw a center rectangle here, 30 by 50. Boom. Okay. Now, I'm going to now extrude this, hit Q, and I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to make sure that I actually select everything. So I kind of like make sure everything is blue. and just draw this block down, maybe -15. So what I just have done is I kind of like just created a big block. This is a brick. If I hide the Lego piece, right, there's absolutely nothing in here. This is just big block of steel or whatever. And the Lego block is kind of like overlapping inside of that environment. So what I can do to create the cavity here is I can use one of the tools that you see me use before, the combine tool. And this is a little counterintuitive because the combine tool actually do more than just combining things. You can actually subtract. So if I select that, I can say here my target body is that big piece of steel. I can choose to keep the tool. I'm going to do that. The tool body is going to be that Lego piece in there, and I'm going to cut with it. Okay, I'm going to hit OK, and as soon as I've done that, I have cut. I mean, people call it like a Boolean operation, but I never knew what the heck meant for many years. I kind of cut with the Lego piece out into the cavity here. If I do another section analysis, select this face, kind of draw in here, you can kind of see how that is sitting in there, and we kind of had the cavity, though we also ended up having some extra pieces. We have all this stuff. We don't really want that in the cavity. If I click on this little arrow and I go into the bodies folder, you will see that we have every single body now in here. Now, just want to point out that I just hit the Lego piece. The Lego piece is still lying in here, but I'm hiding it for a second. Now, you might be tempted to go in here and select all these components in here, in the center, and right-click and hit delete. But you're gonna regret if you do that. Let me just hit delete. Let me do it. Boom. What the? See, delete is actually pretty. Let me just Control Z to undo here. See, delete is pretty magic. What delete does inside of Fusion is it will actually delete those components as you thought they would. But then the software is like, okay, so you deleted these, and that must mean that you want to heal things up. And how can I heal things? And it closes the gap up instead. And that might leave you a little complex. Here's the trick. Let's select them all again. Right click, instead of hit delete, hit remove. And then they go away and we only have one body. Because the cool thing about this is that it's actually recorded down here as a history function. See, if I move back here one, whoop, there's that, whoop, there's that thing, right? So this is actually important to know that delete will heal where this one will actually remove the different components. So here we have the cavity. That is the basic steps you can use to create a cavity. So we added the scale, we scaled the part for shrink. We added draft so the part can come out, and then you can actually go in here and do that combine tool to get the cavity. Now, let me show you another way you can do this that is perfectly fine. Let me just hide the cavity. Whoops, now everything is gone. Turn the Lego back on. Go up here to the top here. You can see the Lego piece sitting right there. So now we're going to do the core inside of it. You could definitely use this combine tool as I just did, but I just want to show you another way because I want to add as many tools to your tool belt as possible. I'm going to create another component, right-click New Component, and we're going to rename this one Cavity. Cavity. No. Whoops. See? Messed up. Core. Slow click Core. Okay. Now I'm going to show you another neat tool, and that is the boundary fill. However, and this is where Fusion, I think, kind of like steps outside what I have been used to in the past, because the way I did this with linking this Lego block in definitely have some advantages, and this worked great with the way I created the cavity in here. I mean, that was that was all good, but we can actually also use this boundary fill. However, if we've got to do this boundary fill, we cannot do it with a link. So I'm going to have to break this link. What sometimes is fine. That's another live stream. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to break the link. And now I'm going to create the core instead. But instead of extruding a big blob and then cut away like we did with the combine tool, I can just say fill up this space. So if I go into the boundary fill and select that, it will select for the tool. And in this case, there's going to be two tools. There's going to be the Lego block. And you see kind of like how that turns green. And then I'm going to just select this plane that's going to work just like a lid that goes across the whole part. So I'm going to click on that. And then you will see that I get all these different check boxes. I'm going to select cells. And I can select all different type of check boxes in here. Now I can just literally go in and say, I want to get this core here. I want to get this core. I want to get the whole inside and this one. And right now, I'm actually not sure why I have these up on top, but I'm going to select them anyways. And hit OK. Oh, I must have done something. I have a little material up there. Let's just go in and do that again. Why is that plane not on top? See how that plane is down in the bottom? Okay. That was why I cut those through. Select the tool, and actually what I'm going to do then is I'm actually going to create a plane, so construction plane. From here, make sure that it snaps up to the top there. So now I have a plane that up on top. I don't know what I did there. Maybe when I modeled this part up, I went in both directions or something. Boundary fill. Oh no, you know what it is? It's the scaling. I scaled up the part. That's why the part is bigger. That's why that first plane is not right at the top. So I'm creating this new construction plane that is up on the top. That's going to work as my lid. Okay, so I'll select this. Sorry if I confused anybody. I'm going to select the top lid that I just created. Nope, not that. There's got to be a top lid here. Construction plane. Oh, let me just... This is the good thing about doing this live. I actually want it here, inside of this part here. So now, go ahead and select this, and then I want to select that construction plane I created there. And now, it still shows a top component. I'm not sure why. Select this, these, this, and this. Let's try to hit OK. And now you will see that we got that that core in there. If I just hide the Lego for a piece or for a second, there we got the inside core. If I go up to the top here and I turn the Lego piece on, there is the Lego piece, and then we have the core right inside of there. So what I would normally do, turn the Lego piece off again. So here I have my core, and then I kind of like have 3 core pins sitting in here. But these core pins should actually not be in a core component. They would probably be in their own components. So I'm just going to right click here, say new component, right click that one, and I'm going to call this one pins, like that. And I can actually go into the core folder and find those 3 pins. You maybe didn't know this. I can actually drag them right over in our pin component. So now I just flipped it upside down. Wow, I'm doing good today, huh guys? I don't want that one. I want this one and this one. Drag those over in the pin. There we go. So now the pins are all inside of this pin component, and our core itself is sitting in this core here. Turn the Lego block on. So now that is sitting in there. And then I would probably go in this file, make sure I get the core active, create a sketch, center rectangle. Draw this one up. If you look at that, doesn't look like it's in center. It's not, but that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow night when we do this Lego block in the Facebook Live presentation. So let's go ahead here and just press pull. We can select these things here, and then we can create a plate. That is our core right here. Then we have our Lego block sitting right on top there, and then in the end we kind of got our cavity sitting on top. Let me save this. Go in and created core and cavity like that. And now we could go in and say animation. We are not in here very often, but don't forget that the animation workspace is in here. Let's go 1 second out. Let's transform this component, lift that up like that. Okay, let's go another second, and let's do the Lego piece like that. And that means that if we hit play, we should see that coming out there, and there is our three pieces right there. All right, folks, we got there. Hope that you enjoyed this little live stream here on how to create the core and the cavity. Couple of tricks. The combine tool, you've seen me use that before. And by the way, if you're more in depth in regards to this whole mold making, down in the description area of this video, you will find the link to the mold tutorials I did where I built a complete mold, plastic injection mold. So you can go in and you can check that down in the description area. That is also where you will find my email address. Any future topics you would like, you can throw those in there. That was about what I had planned to show today, folks. 158 is in the box, and we are just about on the half an hour here. Hope you enjoyed this. Couple of tricks. Thumbs up if you do. Thumbs down if you don't. Absolutely appreciate you taking the time to watch these live streams. Tomorrow, we're going to answer the best questions I've gotten via email. So tomorrow, you're going to get like 4 or 5 different questions answered. That's going to be, some random ones. So there should be something for everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. And until tomorrow, I hope you have an awesome, awesome day. Thank you so much.